This is part 2 of our 2-part interview with Mel Robbins. Don't forget for one moment that this woman works so hard to make her concepts easy to understand and tangible for anybody. And she's a master of language. So I know you will enjoy the second part of our 2-part chat. We could talk to her all day, every day. She's fascinating and she delivers in this 2-part podcast. Let's get to the interview.
Your brain is designed to remember and amplify negative thoughts and negative experiences. And your brain wants you to remember negative experiences simply because it's trying to protect you from having those negative experiences happen again. And you don't even realize how much this beatdown, this holdback, this criticism, this self-rejection is running your day-to-day life. People only have 1 or 2 reactions when they first do this. They either do it once and they laugh or burst into tears and have this big positive relief. This person in the mirror has been waiting my whole life for me to wake up and do this. Your mind, your nervous system, your body, they're actually programmed to have this work. You can't screw this up because your mind and your nervous system and your body are already programmed for this. And you don't have to do anything but raise your hand. Those gestures are more than a supportive gesture. They actually fulfill a fundamental need that every human being has, of being seen, of feeling supported.
Hi, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Blake.
And we are the hosts of the Be Your Own Boss podcast.
Or as we like to call it, the BYOB podcast.
Both of us have our own successful businesses.
We've weathered disappointments, celebrated wins, and lived to tell the tale.
The best part is we've been together for 10 years and are business partners, best friends, and parents.
And we've managed to build a life for ourselves on our own terms.
We both believe that the only job security is the security that you create for yourself.
And we want to share what we've learned with you, so you can be your own boss too.
Welcome to the BYOB podcast. A lot of people that we've talked to, even a lot of friends and family members, they tend to default to the negative instead of the positive. And where does that come from? Why do you think that is something so many people struggle with?
Well, there's a number of reasons why. The first one, probably in the broadest strokes, is that your mind has a number of cognitive biases, I don't know how to say that word, where the default in your brain is that your brain is designed to remember and amplify negative thoughts and negative experiences. It's a little bit of our evolutionary wiring. And your brain wants you to remember negative experiences simply because it's trying to protect you from having those negative experiences happen again. So that's one reason. The second reason why is because we all have developed, even though we weren't born with it, we have all developed a profoundly negative self-dialogue or self-talk pattern in the neural pathways of our mind. So it's like a soundtrack that runs. And so, a lot of us aren't even aware of it. But when you really start paying attention to the way that you talk to and about yourself, a lot of people notice that, holy cow, it's not even my voice. It's my mother's voice, or it's my father's voice, or it's somebody else's voice. And now I'm just running it on repeat because I heard it when I was a kid, and our brains learn patterns. If you add to that, so if you had a critical mom, if you had a dad that, was really not that kind to you, if they were not kind to themselves, your brain was absorbing that like a sponge.
Yeah.
The next thing is that if you lived in a household that had any kind of chaos, abuse, neglect, abandonment, trauma, any of it, you develop coping mechanisms in order to be safe. And those coping mechanism, if somebody's about to hit you, become, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. I need to go hide. It becomes a negative dialogue for safety. And then the final reason why this happens is because, we've all had that experience where you walk into a cafeteria in elementary school and you've got your tray and there's all these kids over there that you want to sit with, but you're nervous that they're not going to accept you for who you are. You don't have the right genes. You don't have the right skin color. Your hair is a little weird. Whatever. You're too tall, too short, too fat, too this, too that. And as a man, and as a means to protect yourself from them rejecting you, you start talking to yourself in a way where you're rejecting yourself. And you're doing it because you're trying to protect yourself, but it becomes a way of life. Like the reason why people don't speak up at work is because they're trying to protect themselves from being judged. Yeah. That's what that is. And so the more that you have an impulse to speak and you stay silent at work, the more it becomes your default way of programming. And you don't even realize how much this beatdown, this holdback, this criticism, this self-rejection is running your day-to-day life. And so one of the things that's exciting about this high five habit, and I say that it's weird because most people feel that way. The other thing that I'm going to unpack in just a second, because I think you're going to find this profoundly interesting and devastatingly sad, is why people resist it. Because people only have one or two reactions when they first do this. They either do it once and they laugh or burst into tears and have this big positive relief because they realize, holy cow, I've been waiting. This person in the mirror has been waiting my whole life for me to wake up and do this. And it feels so good. And, you know, a lot of people start crying because they can't believe how long they haven't seen themselves or supported themselves. But the majority of people resist it. And the reason why they resist it is super interesting and really sad. And this is why. When you stand in front of the mirror in the morning, you guys, you drag with you an entire lifetime of judgment. So if you have experienced abuse or heartache or disappointment or trauma in your life, and almost every one of us has, you drag that with you into that bathroom and you use it as evidence. Evidence that says, see, because this is done to me, I'm damaged, or I'm unlovable, or I'm broken, or I'm not good enough, or I'm this, or I'm that, or it'll never work out, or whatever it is that your past you think says about you. Or you drag with you all the things you can't forgive yourself for. The things that you did while you were just trying to survive. The times you cheated, the times you stole things, the times you lied, the times you hurt people and you didn't mean to, the drugs you took, like whatever it is. We all got stuff. Things that we easily forgive friends and family members for. But we stand in judgment of ourselves for our entire lives. We cannot forgive ourselves. And so the resistance you're feeling is the fact that you stand in judgment of yourself every day, whether you realize it or not. And you see somebody who's not worthy of a high five. And so it feels weird to give yourself one. And the other reason why people resist this is because especially, and especially for people that love your work, you guys, and for the three of us, we are builders of things. We're overachievers. We are out in the world trying to make stuff. And a lot of times when you're an overachiever, a couple things happen. Number one, we think when we're achieving and doing something, it means we're worthy. And so when we're not doing and achieving, we feel unworthy. We have married our self-worth and our validation and our very being with the stuff we're doing.
What? Why are you giving me that look?
Yeah.
No one here has any daddy issues, just to be clear.
Oh yeah, we all do. Everybody's got every kind of issue. I've come to learn, but literally, it's endemic. It's an epidemic. I mean, and so like if you stand there and you say, "But I haven't done anything worthy," or "I don't have the money I want," or "I'm not driving the car," or "the number on the scale isn't what it needs to be," or "I'm not married," or "I don't have kids yet," or "I'm divorced," or "I'm this," or "I'm that," or "I'm the other thing." You look at all these things outside of you. And then you say, that doesn't look like a high five. Therefore, I'm not going to give myself one. And that's where the resistance comes in. Now, here's the good news. The good news is you got to give me 5 days. 5 days is what you need in order to break through this. Because what happens is your mind, and this is where the science comes in, your mind, your nervous system, your body, they're actually programmed to have this work. You can't screw this up because your mind and your nervous system and your body are already programmed for this. And you don't have to do anything but raise your hand. So I want you to practice this right after you brush your teeth because you got to clean out the crap that accumulated overnight so we don't have dragon breath all day long. We also have to clean out the crap in your mind every single day. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to stand with yourself You're going to see the person in the mirror. You're going to think, who do I need to be for that person today? What kind of game do I want to play with this person today? And then boom, raise your hand and you're going to notice something. Even though it might feel a little weird, you won't be able to think something negative. It's neurologically impossible. And the reason why is because your brain already knows what a high five is. So when you guys give or receive a high five, what does it say when you do that to somebody?
I do this with our daughter all the time, our 5-year-old Naomi. Whenever she does something great, I'm like, yeah, good job, high five. And she always gives me these like really hard high fives. So yeah, I mean, achievement, accomplishment. I mean, you associate it with everything positive. You never like, oh, you failed at that, high five. Like it's always, an upbeat, positive kind of feeling.
I was reading your book on the airplane yesterday, Mel, and you were writing about the NBA and the research that backs the idea that when you give someone a high five, the connection, the trust, the confidence that builds a support. And I was thinking of my husband that, we have this partnership, and I think I go out and do all these really scary things. Like I like you, like when I started speaking, it was very scary for me. And I probably was always bright red and my voice was always shaking. But over time, with the support at home, that research that you were talking about, like the team, even doing this show together, BYOB, like I think it helps the individual when they have that support, but you can't always get it from someone else. Even I can't always get it from Jacob. Sometimes,
yeah,
I mean, you're very honest about.
He might not be there. He might not physically be there. He might be exhausted.
Right.
He might have it. Like I totally agree with you. And you know what you're talking about is the study that basically said you can predict who's going to be in the championship rounds of the NBA by seeing who gives the most fist bumps, high fives, and pats on the back during the preseason. Because those gestures are more than a supportive gesture. They actually fulfill a fundamental need that every human being has of being seen, of feeling supported, and of being heard, particularly through the hard times. Yeah. And so those gestures build trust. And so when you raise your hand to your own reflection, your brain recognizes the gesture because you've been doing it your whole life for other people. I believe you. I see you. I got you. We're in this. Shake it off. Come on. We're going to win this still. Like it's all of that. And so when you raise it to your own reflection, your brain's subconscious programming awakens and it actually fuses with your reflection. And then I talked to Dr. Daniel Amen, and there's even crazier science here. So one of the reasons why, if you practice this for more than 5 days, you're going to leave the bathroom feeling a boost in your mood is because every time somebody else has ever high-fived you, you've had a dopamine drip in your brain. The feel-good drug in your brain. When you do it to yourself, same thing. The other reason why you're going to feel a little bit more energized is because when you go to wave to somebody, it's like a positive thing. When you go to hug somebody, it's a celebratory thing. When you go to pat somebody on the back, you're raising your hands. It's a celebratory thing. When you cross a finish line, you raise your arms. It's a celebratory thing. When you go to high five, it's a celebratory thing. So your nervous system, when you keep doing it to yourself, then starts to go, oh yeah, okay, here we go. And it gives you a jolt of positive energy if you start making it a habit. It's why you will start to feel like you're leaving the bathroom with the wind at your back, knowing that no matter what happens, you got yourself. You can face this. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And one of the most important things for people that run a business or who are leaders or who want to be more effective leaders is there's this thing called emotional contagion. They've studied this extensively. Your mood in the morning not only impacts productivity, but it actually dictates how the team is going to feel all day. They did these studies where they would show managers either 10 minutes of like really awful breaking news or 10 minutes of puppies and kittens and high fives and really good feeling stuff. And the negative stuff made the manager go in and act totally differently. And within a half an hour, everybody felt down and negative. And the positive had the manager go in and be positive and uplifted and everything else.
All right, I have to stop you. Wait, I have to stop you, Mel. What do you do, though? Because even someone like you, you've probably got negative Nellies in your family. You've got friends that aren't always up. I mean, what do you do? Because you can't always avoid all that, or the people that are very negative. So how do you deal with that?
I just feel sorry for him. Literally, it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Like, other people's behavior have nothing to do with you. And in fact, when you start practicing the high five habit and you start bringing the validation and the support that you need back in house, which is where it belongs, and you start showing up differently because you know you have your own back, it's going to bother other people. Because when you become more self-expressed, when you start to feel empowered, what happens is other people start to realize where they're not feeling that way. And it's human nature to want to take somebody else down rather than look in the mirror and deal with what's not working for you.
Oh, we've had.
And
Oh my
so,
God. Amen to
We
that.
had so many. Remember all those trolls that we used to get back in the day? I mean, even before we were married, Blake was just my girlfriend. And people were like messaging Blake, telling her to break up with me because I was bad for her career.
That's like a whole thing.
I mean, it was like a whole.
Let's not. I don't want to do.
We had all
that.
sorts of
That's a
trolls who
whole
were
thing.
like going nuts.
well, can I tell you what my comeback to that is? That's
Yes.
all you got? You should hear the shit I say to myself. That's really what you're going to write in the comments? It ain't nothing compared to the things I say to myself. Seriously. Like, I always just picture somebody in their parents' basement in their underwear with no job. Like, that's literally, I don't even pay any attention to that. I want to tell you, though, what's happened to you two after a year of doing this. I don't even have to high five myself.
Yeah, you
I don't-
seem really
on big
happy,
days when I have a-
honestly. You seem really good.
I saw Lewis Howes the other day. He looked at me. He's like, dude, you look like a decade younger. And what is going on? I said, I'm telling you, it's this high five habit. I said, Lewis, I don't even have to do it because I have deleted the beatdown and I have replaced it with a different soundtrack. It doesn't mean I'm arrogant. It doesn't mean I think I'm all that. I've just silenced the relentless focus on what's wrong. I have silenced the relentless criticism. And I've created room for something beautiful, which is optimism, which is being able to look at myself and forgive myself on those days where I am stressed and I snap at the kids and I feel like an asshole, or I'm short with somebody, or I screw up royally. I'm able to bounce back when I have a challenging thing happen. And challenging shit happens every day in your business. Not letting my emotions hijack me and turn me into an asshole. Not going down the road.
Before we continue with our show, we just wanted to remind you to download our new PDF, which outlines all the great tools we use to run our 7-figure business.
It's called the Entrepreneur's Online Business Toolkit, and you can grab it at byobtools.com. Again, that is byobtools.com.
Okay, Mel, I told you I know like way too much about you, so this interview is very hard for me because everything you say, I'm like, oh wait, that moment where you realized your family didn't buy you flowers and you came home from your speeches and like, your birthday.
Yeah, do you want me to talk about that?
No, yes. I don't. Your birthday this year, you posted a really shocking video where you basically told your audience that you're freaking depressed, you're overwhelmed, you're not doing good. The woman I see here is completely different. The question is actually about vulnerability. So do you just know when things are happening in your life that you turn on your phone, like when your husband is meditating to deal with you, or your kids interrupted you when you're working and you snap at Kendall? Like, how do you know you turn on your phone right away? Like, how do you know what to record and how to speak from a place of a scar, not a wound? Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's a great, great question. So a couple boundaries are that, especially now that my kids are older, I need permission to tell stories. And if they say stop filming, I do. And I have to be really respectful of their boundaries and the fact that with a platform this size, something that I share will get back to them or will get back to people that are part of the story, even though I'm changing names and details. And that will impact them. And so, like, my daughter once texted me in her early days of college, can you help me manifest a trip to Cabo? And I wanted to make a whole video about it. And when I made the video, I sent it to her, and she wrote back immediately and said, please don't post this. And she said, because I wasn't invited. And, you know, I don't want this girl to think that I was trying to get, you know what I mean? Like, it was this whole thing that was much bigger than I realized. And so had I posted it, it could have had really big ramifications for her in terms of social stuff and how she felt about herself and being self-conscious. And so I often, you know, I ask the kids, if they're doing something annoying, the fastest way to make them go away is to turn the camera on. So that's kind of what I do with Kendall. And unfortunately, Oakley, who is a fan favorite and who I think, because he has two older sisters and he's gone through a lot in his life, being kind of a cool, walk to a different drummer kind of kid, he has a lot of wisdom to share. But now that he's 16, he does not want to be on camera. And so I thought that we would do something together where we might answer questions, for example, from parents, because a lot of teenage boys don't talk to their parents, and Oakley talks to Chris and I. But he's now at that stage where all of his friends check my channel, and all of his friends then ping him and tease him about what his mother's doing. And so now he won't participate with me, and I've got to respect that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want my marriage to become part of my content strategy. Like, I feel like it's very, what you two are doing in terms of hosting a podcast together, exploring a shared topic together, is different, in my opinion, than having Chris and I give marriage advice. I want my marriage to go the distance, and I don't ever want it to become fodder for our business strategy. And so I am also very conscientious about what aspects of my marriage stay between Chris and I and our marriage therapist, and what aspects of our marriage are just for us. And, you know, making sure I stay in the lane that I want to be in, which is sharing my life experience and connecting with people around the ups and downs. And there are ups and downs every day. And talking about what's really going on to normalize the day-to-day struggles. See, I don't think it's the big stuff that gets people down.
No.
I think it's the day-to-day beatdown. And nobody can escape it in terms of having stuff happen to you throughout the day that makes a negative thought arise. But you can learn how to flip it so that it doesn't drag you down. And you can certainly erase the beatdown from your morning routine. And that's absolutely what I've done using the high five habit. And I think that it's super important as an entrepreneur to realize that your relationship with yourself is the foundation of your business.
Yep.
Nobody's going to believe in your company if you don't believe in you.
I actually have a
Nobody's going to want to work for you, you know? If you don't really think you're a good person to work for.
So I have a follow-up question to that, and then maybe, Blake, I'll let you take the last question, because I know we're like going way beyond what we even agreed to. But it's thinking,
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's thinking about kind of like the content and the business side of it, right? So, can you talk a little bit about, for example, how big is your team? How many people do you work with? And you also create a ton of content, which is something that I think is very important for entrepreneurs. Can you talk a little bit about how the content gets created? I mean, any peek you can give us into, you know, how the sausage is made, so to speak, when it comes to content?
Well, I'm still figuring it out. I mean, I had a really great system when we were in real life, because I had a videographer that just captured everything. And I had a couple editors, one full-time, one freelance, that would just chop everything up. And sort of, it was the out and about and on the road and answering questions and showing people behind the scenes and the things I was struggling with and the stuff that we were doing that became our content. And I've really struggled with creating in a virtual space. Oh. And so in terms of the team, oh my God, I don't even know, maybe 10 people on our team. And we're still figuring it out. I've just had this realization that I don't actually want the business model I have right now. I don't want to be on the road all the time. I don't want to go back to speaking a ton of years. I don't want to be the most booked female speaker in the world. That's a terrible business model to have, because it means you have to show up. I am pivoting to get into a business model that is all about content to commerce and, majority of free content, but more and more and more experiences. Because one of the things that I realized, and it took me a long time to get here because I never wanted to feel like I was hawking something or constantly beating people over the head trying to sell them something or blowing up an email list so that I could just sell. That's just not what I'm doing. I want to make a huge impact. But Dean DeGraziosi said something the other day that had my mind go, pow. And he said, Mel, do you realize how selfish it is to put content out like you do and inspire people and encourage them and empower them and have something crack open and awaken within them and not actually give them a path to go down? And even Brenda Burchard said this to me. As one of the busiest people that I know, Mel, who's out there creating audiobooks and speaking and doing courses and stuff, it is impossible to figure out how to work with you. I can't find a course. I can't, he's literally, and I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I've been thinking about this from launching things and selling things. I have not been thinking about this in your expertise, Blake, the customer journey. I haven't been thinking about it from the standpoint of, wow, if I make somebody feel empowered, I better also at least point them in the right direction so they can go to the event or get the support or take the course or join the monthly program where once a month you come together with Mel and you get the burst of enthusiasm and the teaching that you need. And so I had been thinking about that in reverse. And the reason why I never did any of it, because I'm not driven by the sale. I'm driven by the impact. But when I flipped it on its head and went, whoa, wait a minute, all these experiences deepen the impact, I'm a moron. You know what I mean? So we're in the middle of reinventing everything, in other words. And so you're going to see a lot more events and a massive podcast and all kinds of awesome stuff and a lot more partnerships, directing people toward experts in particular areas that have folks that hold people's hands and have systems and accountability and stuff that you need in order to make the change stick.
Very cool.
That's great. Well, we have a quick rapid fire round. Should take about a minute, and then we're going to let you go because I know. Thank you. We're so grateful to you. I know we're like your sixth interview.
I'm grateful
today.
to you. Thank you.
You don't have a hoarse voice or anything. It's incredible. You have so much energy. All right. Let's start with the rapid fire. I'm going to let you ask them. I'm going to let you ask them all because
I'll ask one or two. No. I'll ask one or two. You can ask. So first one is there besides one of your books, of course, is there a resource? It could be a book, a website, a person, anything that you think all entrepreneurs need to be aware of?
Well, I personally am super proud of this thing that I've created called the High Five Challenge, which is a free 5-day challenge that gives you the coaching, the tools, and the community you need to finally break through the self-doubt that's paralyzing you and help you launch yourself forward and take control of your life and your business in ways that you need to right now. So if you go to high5challenge.com, you follow the link in the show notes, you can sign up for free and you'll be shocked at what happens. So I think that's something you should take advantage of.
Okay, and then I'll do one more, and then you can do the rest. What is your most embarrassing work moment?
I was standing on a stage in front of 400 small business owners for a speaking tour that J.P. Morgan Chase's business banking unit had hired me to do. Thank God I was wearing a long black skirt and high-top sneakers because I sneezed on stage. And I felt a spray of urine hit my ankles. And it was in that moment that I realized it's time to get bladder surgery after 3 kids and running 4 marathons. And I thankfully was on a stage that was only about a foot off the ground, because had I been higher up, somebody might have seen something that happened. But that was the most embarrassing moment.
Wow.
Wait, did the surgery
You
work?
weren't expecting that story.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, life-changing.
Yeah, I had 2 kids and I can't run like I used to. And Orange Theory is there's like a whole.
Yeah, out of the question. It was out of the question for me.
I just have to have all these like weapons with me to manage this. You made me have kids, so you have to hear about this shit. You can only have one food or one drink on an island. What are they?
One food and one drink? Well, I never get tired of tacos. So I think I'd have tacos. And I'm assuming I have water? Mm-hmm. Is that correct? I can have water?
You can say whatever you want, even if you'll die without
Well, I certainly need water. I need water because I'm going to die, but an ice cold beer would be pretty awesome with the tacos.
All right. And lastly, if you could have lunch with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
My grandmothers.
Oh.
I didn't spend enough time with them when I was alive, and I would love to be able to get time back.
That's beautiful.
Well, Mel, where can people go to learn more about you? Anything that you want to mention, your books, you mentioned the High Five Habit coaching program that people can sign up for, but anything that you want to mention, please.
I don't know. You can go to melrobbins.com, go to High Five Habit. I got a frog in the throat now. Go to melrobbins.com, go to the highfivehabit.com for all the information you need about the book and the High Five Challenge. And that's about it. Like, I'm on every platform. We put tons of content out every single day. We are here to give you just the tools and empowerment that you need to break through whatever's holding you back and create a life that you really want to high five back.
Well, Mel, this has been so fun and exciting. I feel like I have 20 questions I didn't get to ask you, so I hope we'll have you back at some point to ask you all of those.
Absolutely.
I just appreciate you. You've helped me in so many dark moments myself, and I just always knew I could go to you to get inspired. So thank you for everything you gave our audience today.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, are we going to do like a camera high five?
All right.
We got to do that.
Oh, yeah, here we go. High five. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning into this episode. And if you're interested in learning about the tools we use to build 7-figure businesses, head over to byobtools.com. You'll get a PDF that shows you the breakdown of all the tools that we need to keep our businesses growing. And please do us a favor and help us grow the show by rating and reviewing our show on Apple Podcasts or whatever your preferred platform is.
It's super easy to do. You can do it right from your phone, and it helps us a lot. We greatly appreciate it.